This is the story of how a generation armed with VPNs, smartphones, social media forced a reckoning so sudden that Nepal woke up to what many are calling a new dawn. Old rulers gone and its youth holding the future in the palm of their hands. This is a story of how a cheated generation refused to just go along. The streets of Kathmandu became a battlefield where a generation's patience finally snapped. In a dramatic political upheaval that will be remembered as Nepal's most explosive youth uprising, protests by Generation Z achieved what seemed impossible, forcing the resignation of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. But what is even more interesting is how it all happened in mere 36 hours. We have seen similar movements in multiple other nations. But what happened in Nepal was different. Well, how? Come along, let's find out. The protests began in Kathmandu with what organizers from the NGO Hami Nepal called a peaceful demonstration. Thousands of young Nepalese, many still in their school and college uniforms, gathered with placards reading "Shut down corruption, not social media," and also "Youth against corruption." The atmosphere was almost festive initially, with the music and chanting filling the air. But the government's heavy-handed response transformed this entire peaceful protest into violent confrontation. In fact, when protesters attempted to breach police barricades near the federal parliament, security forces responded with tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, and also with live ammunition. By evening, 19 protesters were dead, including a 12-year-old child. Well, the crackdown had crossed a line that shouldn't have been crossed. Now comes September 9th. This morning was very different. The death of young protesters electrified the entire nation. What had started as a social media protest evolved into a comprehensive uprising against Nepal's political establishment. Protesters stormed the federal parliament, setting it ablaze, and ransacking offices. The Singha Darban government complex, Supreme Court, President's residence, and Prime Minister's home all came under attack. The targeting wasn't random, it was symbolic. Why I say so? Because luxury hotels like Hilton and Hyatt Regency were torched, representing where the elite establishment, Nepal's most powerful, conducted their business while ordinary citizens suffered. Politicians' homes across the country were attacked, with former PM Sher Bahadur's residence also came under fire. For years, Nepal Gen Z had been simmering with resentment. The corruption wasn't hidden, it was flaunted. While Nepal's 20% youth remained unemployed, the children of political elites were posting videos on TikTok showcasing their designer handbags, luxury Mercedes cars, and expensive foreign holidays. The Nepo Kid phenomenon had become a symbol of everything which was wrong with Nepal's governance, where politicians' offspring lived lavishly off taxpayers' money while ordinary families struggled to survive. The social media platforms had become the only sanctuary where frustrated youth could vent out their anger and organize resistance. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube weren't just entertainment, they were economic lifelines for millions who earned money through content creation, online education, and digital commerce. When the government banned 26 social media platforms on September 4, 2025, citing registration failures, it felt like the final act of authoritarian overreach. Let's be very clear, this wasn't just about social media or even corruption. It was a generational revolt against a failed political system. Nepal's Gen Z have watched 14 governments rise and fall since 2008, none completing full term. They had witnessed the promises of democracy turn into a cycle of instability, nepotism, and self-enrichment by political elites. The economic desperation was also very much real. 33% of Nepal's GDP comes from remittances as millions of young Nepalis work abroad in Gulf countries. The youth wanted systematic change, not just a new face in the Prime Minister's office. In fact, their conversations with army officials including proposal for former Chief Justice Sushila Karki to lead an interim government, signaling their desire for a clean contempt leadership. This 36-hour revolution demonstrated that in the digital age, young people's patience with corrupt governance has limits. When those limits are crossed, the speed at which political systems can collapse has accelerated dramatically.